What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Civivi Chevalier or Chevalier. I'm not 100% sure. Chevalier sounds like how I want to say it, but I think someone commented on my unboxing video and said it was like Chevalier or something like that, some French name. I don't know. You know, to each their own. Excuse me. But I've carried this a lot within the last couple weeks. Excuse me, I keep burping. I just got a big chug of Dr. Pepper. And I think I'm good to go on my full review. I think I've carried it enough. I think I've used it enough. I think I have a pretty good handle on what the knife is and what the knife is about. You know, and it's a good knife, guys. It is. I don't like hate it, but I wasn't like blown away by it. And I had put off on getting a Civivi button lock for a while, just because, you know, it started with the button lock Elementum, which didn't sell so well because, you know, you guys know that it only has the button, doesn't have a flipper, studs, full, or anything like that. So in order to open it, you have to basically wrist it and stuff like that. And I wasn't a huge fan of that. I think that they really dropped the ball there. I think that they could have made it much, much better, because at the time, the Elementum was, you know, it still is a popular knife, but it was really like one of the best budget knives you could buy out there. And if people would have had a different way of deploying that knife, I think it would have sold much, much better. So I held off on that. And then I also held off on the Cogent because I didn't love the design of it. I almost bought the Altus, but I held off on that. And then I was really, really close to buying the Conspirator. But ultimately, I think the one I wanted got cart sniped from me on White Mountain Knives. And I just didn't get around to buying another one, or I didn't want another one or anything like that, so I waited. And then I finally saw that they were coming out with this design with this like sheep's foot style blade, and I was like, okay, I think that's going to be the first one that I want to try. And I heard a lot of good things about the Conspirator and how, you know, it was probably Civivi's best one yet, with detent and deployment and you know, action and all that stuff, all the stuff you know are interested in knives. So I waited and I pulled the trigger on this. So I think the day when they went live, I ended up going with this green micarta with a like black stonewash blade, all the black accents. They also have, I think, a black G10 with like a gray stonewash and two wood styles, I think. One with a Damascus blade or a Damascus blade, and then one with a, I think it's gray stone, like a normal stonewash. But I went with this one. And I got it, and I really like. I was expecting to be like, not blown away, but like pretty close, like being very happy. And it's not that I haven't been like happy with the knife, because really it's broken in nicely, and it's a decent knife in everything that I needed to do. It doesn't have like that wow factor for me. And I'm sitting here flipping it, not showing you guys, but I don't know. It just didn't like blow my socks off and stuff like that. And I know it's a Civivi. It was like $60. I know you're going to get what you pay for. And at the end of the day, it's still a very good functioning, you know, with a decent action knife. And that's, you know, again, you get what you pay for. So, but we'll jump right into materials. Like I said, this is rocking green micarta with this black stonewash. You can clearly tell that this has a nice, really long, elongated sheep's foot style blade. You have a flipper tab. You have a fuller on both sides here. Again, black accents. You have the black Civivi logo. You have a very typical Lubaro style deep carry Civivi clip. You can reverse. This is on bearings. It has skeletonization heavily on both sides. This is a very lightweight knife for being, I think, like a 3.5-inch blade. What else am I missing? Grind is a flat grind from the fuller down. Comes down to a pretty thin edge. Blade stock thickness is, you know, pretty thin overall. I think that's all for materials. You know, I have kind of been a Civivi deep carry clip defender, kind of in a like it not a defender to where I go out and like start arguing with people about it, but when people like, I'd watch people's reviews and people would really bitch and complain about the deep carry clips. And at first I was like, yeah, I want all the deep carry, like I'm And I still am a huge deep carry fan. Like, I would prefer to have a deep carry clip on there. But it just, you know, Civivi's deep carry clips are kind of just like, someone's stuck on mine. I mean, they're decent at what they do, but there's some parts about them that I don't love. You know, this one kind of, like when you, I can go over this in the Ergos as well, like, but I can kind of feel like the clip move a little bit on the micarta. Speaking of the micarta, this micarta is like really like dry. It's not the best micarta that I've felt, and I know other people have complained about that as well. So I really, you know, should implore Civivi to maybe upgrade their micarta a little bit, charge an extra $5 or $10 to get some better quality micarta, and I think that would go a long way. I'm not saying this is bad, but it's just dry, and it's just not the best. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think that's all for materials. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. So next up is action, and again, this has a flipper tab, and the button, and the fuller. So technically, there's quite a few ways you can deploy this knife. You can slow roll it. That's 1. You can middle finger flick it, that's 2. You can pointer finger flick, that's 3. You can use the flipper, that's 4. And you can use the button, that's 5, I think. 5, yeah. Because you have, oh, well, wait, hold on. You can slow roll, 1. You can thumb flick, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 ways of deploying this knife. So it's very fidget friendly. There's a lot of different ways to play with it. You know, for being a button lock, I know button locks kind of have an issue with being very light on the detent. But overall, this detent is, you know, it's not fantastic, but it's not terrible. I mean, there I very lightly pushed it. When I first got this knife, when I would try to fail it, like the knife would kind of just, there, it kind of did like that, but it was worse. Kind of just flops out, but it has gotten a lot better. That almost went. So you really have to try to fail this knife to, my dog's sniffing around. What's up, Luce? But you really have to try to fail this knife to get it to fail. You know, that time I kind of pussyfooted it, but. So I will say, and I will give it credit, that it has broken in. It's gotten very smooth. And you can see that with, you know, very typical button lock fashion, very droppy. The middle finger flick is pretty solid. The fuller, you know, isn't super cut into the knife. It's kind of shallow, but as long as once you get used to it, you can definitely find enough leverage to get it out of there. Thumb flicking is probably like the most awkward thing to do with the fuller, because you kind of have to like flick your wrist with it, where, you know, the thumb flick, or the middle finger flick, excuse me, you just find it and just bang it out. Same with the index finger flick, you just kind of find it. You have to give it a little bit of wrist, but and then, you know, you can obviously do this, but I don't really love to do that. Like, I don't know, that's with the Civivi, with the button lock Elementum. Like, if you're going to use that knife, you're going to pull it out of your pocket in public to cut something, you got to like whack it, and it, like, that's drawing attention, you know what I mean? Like, so, but that's kind of, I digress, you know. But action is good. I will give it that. It's definitely broken in. The detent is solid. Boop. One thing that I have noticed is you really have to kind of push the button in the whole way, which kind of can be frustrating sometimes. And I know you have to get the plunge all the way out of the way for, you know, the blade to swing shut, but at the same time, it's like sometimes, you guys can see, sometimes it'll, like, you really have to like push it. Sometimes it'll catch. It's not as bad because I think it's broken in even more. But at first it was like I really had to like push the button the whole way down, and I had to hold it for it to drop. And I think that's why I kind of got like a bad perception of it right away. But it's definitely improved. So action is pretty solid. You know, it has good deployment ways, good deployment methods. Fall shut when you need it to, which pretty much every time. You know, do those bearings in there. Do the button lock dance as Kevin used to. So action is pretty good. Next up is ergos. And I will say ergos are very well for me on this knife, very good. have this nice natural restriction point here with the flipper tab. I can get all 4 fingers on here and still have a little bit hanging off. Very comfortable. You have the jimping up here. You can also use this like landing area right up here for a choil if you want to choke up and do some more precise work. You know, you're doing some cuts where you have to be careful. I wouldn't be like, you know, slamming down on stuff or hitting stuff with this very hard because you can slide around on the blade. But Civivi's pretty, you know, a landing area like this are pretty popular on knives nowadays because it's like a half choil. So, but it's comfortable, and it's nice because you get to slide off that paw clip, which in a full grip you can definitely feel. You know, if you're really torquing down, that's like, I'm squeezing it pretty hard. That's when you can kind of feel the bottom of the paw clip like move, and it rubs on the micarta, and it kind of like squeaks almost. It's hard to depict over video without like having someone hear it, but it kind of like moves and it squeaks a little bit, and to me that just feels kind of cheap. I don't love that. And you know, you definitely have a lot of the paw clip sticking up there, very Civivi-esque again. So not the most comfortable in the world, but you know, without the paw clip it is, but the paw clip definitely makes it a hot spot. But the nice, very neutral, like you just have a groove here and then it's straight back. It tapers a little bit on the bottom, kind of swirls or swoops a little bit, but it's definitely a very utilitarian, very basic sort of design. And if there's a different clip on here, I think it would make it that much more comfortable, because it really, you know, if you're pushing down trying to do like push cuts, you're definitely going to feel that in the palm of your hand. It's not going to be super comfortable. So take that as a grain of, or you know, as you will with a grain of salt. But with the milled clip, it probably wouldn't be as bad. So, but speaking of the paw clip, we're going to talk about carry here. It's a very lightweight knife. Like I said, there is a ton of internal milling going on, and it goes, you know, pretty much to the butt end of the knife. This thing basically disappears down in your pocket. You do have the flipper tab down here, but it's very minimal. You're not going to really, you know, if you happen to hit it, you're just going to bounce off of it if you're down in your pocket, getting coins, chapstick, what have you. I think I've carried this in my front right pocket of my pants and jeans. I have carried this in my like cargo pants when I was working security a lot. You know, carried fine there. And I think I've carried this once to work, and then once in my back right pocket of my shorts at some point. And it carries well. It's very lightweight for being almost a 3.5-inch knife. You know, it's a very kind of compact size almost. So you really, I've had no issues, no complaints, no you know, qualms, I guess. I'm trying to think of another word. Really nothing to complain about. It's, you know, lightweight, nice and easy to carry. And you really only have the flipper tab sticking out here, but again, it's very minimal, very small. Yeah, so it carries well. Stuff's good. So that leads me to my final category, price point and what I recommend this knife. So I believe this micarta version was like, I want to say like 61 bucks, I think. And on White Mountain Knives, you could use Kevin's code. You can use, I think Casey over at Knives Fast has a code from White Mountain. I don't think there's anyone else that I can think of. But I use Kevin's code just because it's always easy for me to remember, basically, and it's already kind of in there. So we'll call it 60 bucks, right around 60 bones for this knife. And I think at the end of the day, that's still a good value, especially with Civivi kind of, you know, raising their prices and going up there. Did I mention the blade steel? I don't think I mentioned the blade steel at all in this video. This is, I think this is the first time. This is how, I think this is the longest I've gotten into a video before I've realized I forgot such a main compartment, you know, piece of the knife. But if you guys can see it, this is 14C28N blade steel. I severely apologize, but if you're watching the video, you might have already known that, but my fault. That was a brain fart. Definitely a user error on 814's part. So back to my original point. You are getting, you know, good materials. Excuse me again. You have 14C28N, which is a fantastic budget steel. I love it. I've really grown to, it's probably my favorite now. You know, the micarta, it's not the best, but it's still micarta. It's still okay. You know, not fantastic, not great, but it works. You get a loop over style deep carry clip, which can make the ergos kind of crappy, but it carries deep in the pocket. You know, you add that with the all the internal milling going on, and this thing makes for a very lightweight carry, rides deep in your pocket, a very easy carry for a 3.5-inch blade. The blade, you know, a sheep's foot, it's very usable. You know, you just pop, you have that lower tip right here, you can just pop into stuff. You have to rip through labels, rip through tape, cardboard, label, or I already said labels, paper, whatever you're cutting, you know, just pop right in and just drag. And I mean, it's very, again, utilitarian. It's very user friendly. So I think for $60 and the button lock, that's another huge drawing point, is it's a button lock. So that's cool. You know, it has a cool factor to it, but I don't know. So I would recommend it. I think that if I had to go back again, I probably would still buy this out of all the Civivi button locks so far, just because I do think it looks the best. It's maybe a little elongated. It kind of, I think Kevin said it looks like a penis kind of, because he had a couple in. And I can kind of see that. It kind of looks like, you know, a shaft, a penis. So I think I still would recommend it. I think it's probably the best looking out of all the button locks so far. The Conspirator's a very close second. I really like how that knife looks. Ergos are good, except for, you know, the hot spot of the knife clip or the pot clip. Action's good. You have the flipper. You have the fuller on both sides. So I mean, it's very fidget friendly. The drop is very good, very button-like esque. But that leads me to the point, or my point of, it seems like they're just trying to saturate the market and oversaturate the market with, you know, budget button locks. Civivi has what, 5 or 6 of them now. They just come out with the Feldspar button lock. They just come out with, there was another one I think that just came out. The Beglighter XL. There's, I think, a normal Beglighter with a button lock now. There's the, I think, Kaiser Assassin. There's the Cormorant. You know, those are kind of a little bit higher end budget ones, but it just seems like they're trying to oversaturate the market. And I really wish that, you know, if they're going to continue to come out with a button lock, maybe do like one a year. Like, put all your designing, instead of coming out with 3 or 4 designs, just make one really baller design. Maybe make, you know, add S35VN, or, you know, upgrade the mic card a little bit and only come out with it like once a year. And I think that by you doing that, it would make the knife, you know, fit and finish a little bit better, and it would just improve the people's thoughts of, okay, well, we're getting too many budget button locks, we need to quit. I think Kevin did a video on this, so I'm trying not to steal what he said, but he has a point though, because they are really trying to push the budget button lock, and it's kind of that new hot thing, and, you know, for good reason. I think the button lock is a great lock. It's very fun. It's very fidget friendly. But what that noise is? Might be our hot tub. Hopefully you guys can't hear that, but I'm almost done anyway. So at the end of the day, they're all trying to chase the Malibu, and the Malibu is hard to compete against and to beat. Beat. So I would recommend this knife. I think it's worth $60. I haven't decided if I'm going to keep it yet. I might try to, you know, sell it if I'm going to be chasing, like, if I want to get a quiet carry and some other stuff. That $50, $60 could go towards that. So I haven't decided yet, but I might sell it. So, but it is a good knife, and I can recommend it to people that are, you know, if they have any questions about it, or you know, are asking what one they should go with between all the button locks. Definitely this one or the Conspirator, in my opinion. So, but that's all for today, guys. I think I've rambled enough about it, but that was my full review of the Civivi Chevalier. I think that was our hot tub. But leave a comment down below if you guys have one of these. If you have any other Civivi button locks, have you had good, you know, good experiences with them? Are your detents good? You know, what are your thoughts about them? I'd love to hear it. So, yeah, that's all for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love each and every one of you, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your evening. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.